On the night of August 9th, 1969, actress and model Sharon Tate was murdered along with her friends at her Cielo Drive home by members of the Manson family cult. Or at least, that's what was supposed to happen.
What the fuck happened? Jesus Christ, are you serious?
Yeah, I'm fucking serious. My buddy and his dog killed two of them, and then, well, shit, I torched the last one.
Torched?
I burnt her ass to a crisp. Yeah.
Jay, honey, is everything all right?
Everything's okay now, honey. But some hippies broke into the house next door.
Is everybody okay?
Yes, Sharon, everybody's fine.
Rick, would you like to come up to the house for a drink and meet my other friends?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Oh, hooray! Great, I'll buzz you up.
In this ending to the 2019 film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, writer-director Quentin Tarantino exacts his revenge on the Manson family by firing Chekhov's gun point-blank at the members responsible for the Tate murders. This ending wouldn't be nearly as impactful if it weren't for this plot device. Let me explain.
Oh, gee.
Legendary playwright Anton Chekhov observed this in his early 20th century writings. If it's not essential, don't include it in the story.
But you wouldn't have the gumption to use it.
This is the principle for Chekhov's gun, a plot device which dictates that everything in a story should serve a purpose. Chekhov demonstrated this by noting that if a writer features a gun in a story, it should be fired at some later stage in the plot, hence the name Chekhov's gun. Some undermine this principle, however, with author Ernest Hemingway stating that readers would eventually seek symbolism and significance in inconsequential details. I'm inclined to agree. Letting your audience find meaning instead of giving them one directly is a powerful storytelling tool. Renowned filmmakers such as Stanley Kubrick, Charlie Kaufman, David Lynch, and even Quentin Tarantino himself are guilty of utilizing this in their own films. But Tarantino demonstrates that even in a film like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, coming full circle can make a huge difference when telling your stories. These guns can be very literal, as Tarantino demonstrates here when one of the Manson family members runs into actor Rick Dalton's backyard and stumbles into his pool. The gun is first established to be in the possession of another member, who later drops it, making it possible for the other member to pick it up. It can also pertain to a completely different firearm altogether, such as Rick's flamethrower. Rick was first seen using it in a film he acted in.
Oh, from the 14 Fists of McCluskey.
Yeah.
It's established later on that Rick in fact owns the flamethrower. In a blink and you'll miss it shot, showing the inside of Rick's tool shed. Chekhov's gun can also refer to other types of objects, such as an acid-dipped cigarette, which Rick Dalton's stunt double, Cliff Booth, buys off of a hippie girl on the street.
Hippie girl, 50 cents.
He stashes it at Rick's place, and 6 months later, he decides to smoke it while taking his dog, Randy, for a walk.
Away we go.
As he returns from the walk, the Manson family members surround him, and after a tense yet weirdly comical exchange between him and the family members, a fight breaks out in which Cliff is stabbed in his thigh by one of the attackers. Due to the numbness from the acid-dipped cigarette, Cliff is able to stay conscious long enough to return the favor to his attacker. Characters can also apply to the Chekhov's gun principle. Charlie Manson, based on the real-life cult leader, is a supporting character in this film who only appears on screen twice, but is mentioned by name several times, emphasizing his importance to the story.
Man, Charlie's gonna dig you.
Earlier in the film, Manson visits the Polanski residence looking for record producer Terry Melcher. Months later, Manson's lackeys are prompted by him to enter the house and kill everyone in it.
He said, "Go to Terry's old house and kill everybody in there."
There is a passage in Tarantino's own novelization of the film that explains Manson's motives in greater detail. The book itself is a highly entertaining read, so either way you won't be disappointed. More often than not, however, the Chekhov's gun principle also applies to immaterial elements of the story, such as Cliff's fighting prowess. Early on, Cliff demonstrates this in the controversial scene where he's challenged by Bruce Lee to an improvised exhibition fight. Contrary to what some would believe, Cliff kicks Bruce's ass. Bruce Lee was a well-established martial artist and one of the best of his kind, so Tarantino uses Bruce as a way to show his audience that Cliff is more than adept at throwing a few punches. This finally comes to play when Cliff is confronted with the Manson family members later in the film. This finale alone demonstrates the various ways that the Chekhov's gun principle can be applied to advance the plot in a meaningful way. There's one final gun that wasn't actually fired, yet still left an impact on the story in the end. Sharon Tate was an enigmatic talent in Hollywood who was robbed from the world too soon, and with her 8.5-month-old baby on the way, her tragic loss was even more unbearable. Which is why Tarantino embarked on educating his audience on the purity of Tate's character and what would eventually be lost to the world on that fateful day in 1969. Margot Robbie's performance as Tate was received positively, but was criticized solely because she didn't have as big of a role as her co-stars Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio. Tarantino, of course, opposed this criticism when confronted with it during a panel at the Cannes Film Festival, but did not elaborate.
Well, I just reject your hypotheses.
I'm here to explain why she is in fact vital to the film, so that he doesn't have to. All throughout the film, Tarantino showcases what Sharon Tate's day-to-day life looks like and how carefree and innocent she is from a very close and personal perspective.
Yes, he knows 'cause I told him so. Oh, California dreaming on such a winter's day.
We, as an audience, can't help but adore Sharon Tate and Margot Robbie's performance as her. So when we get to the finale, when she's supposed to be murdered by the Manson hippies, there's an invisible yet eerie sense of dread that looms over the picture that suggests that her death is imminent. But when Rick and Cliff come along to inadvertently stop Sharon's would-be murderers, we're treated to an absolutely brutal yet poignant 6 minutes that put even Tarantino's own movies to shame.
I love that stuff, you know, the killing.
A lot of killing.
This is what I meant when I said early on that Tarantino exacted his revenge on the Manson family with this ending. Tarantino has been making movies about revenge for as long as anyone can remember, but never has he so cleverly hidden this theme in one of his films before. That being said, while the movie does have a happy ending, after the curtains close on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, viewers are hit with the realization that Sharon Tate never had a happy ending, and really was killed in her Cielo drive home, along with her friends and unborn child. This film serves as a stark reminder of what could have been prevented once upon a time in Hollywood.
dream on. Oye, mira, yo quiero gozar en California porque yo me siento tan bien. Y por eso yo te quiero porque tú me tratas bien. En California, mira, no seas tan mala, nena, no me trates así. Que yo me quiero morir, muchachita, por tu amor nada más. Oye, no me digas que no, porque yo... Oye, mulata, mira, baby, hey, California dreaming. It doesn't matter how you say it. All I wanna say is I love California.